Delta 1481, exit runway when able. Endeavor 5425, turn next taxiway. Delta 1481, turn next taxiway. Southwest 206 exit runway when able. Endeavor 5425, turn next taxiway. Delta 1481, exit runway when able. Endeavor 5425, turn next taxiway. Delta 1481, contact ground on 130.075. .075, Delta 1481. Endeavor 5425, exit runway when able. Southwest 206 exit runway when able. Endeavor 5425, contact ground on 1.45.
Going to 131.45, Endeavor 5425.
Southwest 206 turn next taxiway. Southwest 206 contact ground on 131.85.
.131.85, Southwest 206.
Delta 23907, turn next taxiway. Delta 23907, exit runway when able. Delta 23907, turn next taxiway. Delta 23907, contact ground on 1.75. Delta 104, turn next taxiway.
131.375, Delta 2 tree 907.
Delta Tree 104, turn next taxiway. Delta Tree 104, turn next taxiway. Delta 292 Tree, turn next taxiway. Delta Tree 104, contact ground on 1 Tree 1.85. One Tree 1.85, Delta Tree 104. Delta 292 Tree, turn next taxiway. Delta 292 Tree, turn next taxiway.
Got an even more special plane than this. What are you flying?
I've got the world famous
Delta
SS-71
292 Tree,
today in the
contact
mass
ground on
delivery too.
130.075.
I guess they did operate it for some high altitude testing in the 90s is what I did on a quick Google search, but here it is. This is the Blackbird Simulations 1 that's in early access. And we're going to find out how hard it is to fly, because I've done about 10 feet down the runway so far, and that's it.
It never even taken off in an SR-71.
Nope.
Notoriously one of the most challenging and difficult aircraft to fly. And you're going to be doing it live on stream for the very first time in front of hundreds
Oh
of
yeah. I imagine there might be some craters in Tallahassee and Jacksonville, but we'll find out.
We'll see. All right, D-Man Chief said it's easy to fly, tough to land. You know, that's true for a lot of planes. A lot of
I
planes.
can imagine that.
All right.
Like there's the Boom Supersonic. That one was easy to fly, really tough to land.
All right, I'm spawned in at Atlanta.
Oh yeah, XTOF 74. I'm dripping fuel on the runway. Yeah. If you didn't know, the SS-71, how it was built, the fuselage had gaps in it to allow for heat expansion, and so it would leak fuel, and immediately after takeoff, it would hit a tanker because it would be low on fuel.
Now, I saw someone said that you're pulling an alley, famously Allison Johnson, whenever she's a guest on this channel, she always flies a brand new aircraft for the first time with no prior experience. I'm pulling a pseudo alley. I've done a little bit of flying in a T-38 before, but not a lot. So this will be my first like full-on 2-hour flight. As you can see, I'm spawned in now. Look at all you other beautiful people all flying along. Once again, this is an open event. If you want to join us and fly with our group today, as you can see, all these other players on your screen are flying with us. Exclamation mark fly in the chat. Now, does the T-38 have an autopilot? I don't think it does, right? I think I'm going to be hand flying the entire time today.
That would be a fantastic question for the chat.
Yeah, someone in chat who's more familiar with the T-38 than I am, you let me know. But I don't think it has an autopilot, so I think I might be having to do a lot of hand flying. It does not, says Skolkon, and JP Flying High says no autopilot. All right, well, here we go then, chat. Hand flying all the way to Kennedy Space Center today. Parking brake is off. Full throttle is in. I'm rolling, and we're underway.
Atlanta Tower.
You know,
Delta 1444.
hindsight being 2020,
15 miles
this
west.
being a
Inbound
NASA
ILS
Artemis 2
runway
themed
9
flight, we
right
should have done a
approach.
countdown. That's bad
Delta
streamer is bad. I
144
apologize,
Atlanta Tower.
folks.
Altimeter 29
Nick, have you taken off yet?
ILS runway 9 right approach.
Hey, I'm gonna rotate in 3, 2, 1, and we're rotating.
We
Cleared
should have
ILS
done
runway 9
a
right approach.
countdown.
Delta 1444.
You know, 10 to 0, just like a proper NASA launch. All right, I am airborne and making a left-hand turn to get en route here to Tallahassee.
I think this might be a tough plane to fly at 300 knots. I think. Which one is airspeed? Okay, that one's airspeed.
Yeah, that might be an important one to know.
Yeah. Is that the stall horn? I don't know.
All right, I've climbed to 6,000 feet. I'm gonna throttle back and decelerate to about 300 knots. And I'm
Oh, that
currently on
flyby
course.
camera.
Oh, that's a cool shot.
The flyby camera is ridiculous with this airplane.
All right, I'm poking some holes in clouds.
I'm poking a hole in the ozone.
All right, here's some footage of my T-38.
Atlanta
Again, I gotta
Tower.
hand
Are you
fly this,
runway
so I
runway
saw someone in
27
chat
right
said
ready
trim is
for
your
departure.
friend. Oh, just
West
got
departure.
buzzed by an F-18. And once again, if this is your first time watching, all these names you see on your screen right now, these are real players who are joining us and flying along for Community Flying Friday. And if you too would like to fly with our team today, !fly in the chat. We'll give you all the instructions you need.
I'm trying to find where you are. I don't see you at all.
I've got you in sight, Nick.
Oh.
I appear to be to your 2 o'clock position off the distance, but if you're looking at the stream on another monitor, I'm looking at your plane off in the distance right now.
Okay. Okay.
IU-11, continue for west departure. IU-11,
Oh yeah, you know, the stream on this aircraft is kind of twitchy, isn't it? Like, having a hard time trimming it for straight and level.
Atlanta Tower, IU-11.
It's supposed to be a hand-flown airplane. It's a pilot
trainer.
airplane, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's designed for training. In fact, we were very lucky on the Microsoft Flight Sim team. Among our pilot testers, the group that's responsible for testing and evaluating all the aircraft that we release, we have a former T-38 pilot, real-world T-38 pilot, among our pilot testers. And so, really, really fortunate to be able to have someone who's got real-world hours flying this exact aircraft when we're going to release it to all you simmers out there.
Sorry, I just have to listen to Microsoft Flight Sim with a COA Yeah, all the all
I've got Bobo the Great.
131.85. Delta 1509er.
Sterling can keep this aircraft straight. I've got it down to about 300 knots now. But I'm losing altitude at a rate of
Delta
1,000 feet per minute.
Turn next taxiway.
Other thing I keep an eye out for there.
So I confess I use cheap and I don't want to worry about that. I've got enough going on with me. Keep running the stream, chatting about everyone, and now flying my aircraft. I'm half saturated in technical terms for this, so I'm not sitting very good.
Yeah.
That's what
Turn next taxiway.
not have that kind of flow right now.
Yeah, we're Mach 1. I can hear the sound very.
Delta 1.
Oh, the sound doesn't
Contact
come
ground
through.
on 129er decimal
No,
275.
Steve, it is. Yeah. You can hear the sonic boom though?
Yeah, the sonic boom. The flyby cameras have fun.
Going to 129er decimal 275. Delta 1444.
This is 3-second shots.
Doing, Bobo is doing a
1.5.
Bobo's doing a fantastic job keeping coordination with me. Look at that. Back to there now. Supersonic is up. Put stress on that. I don't know how to fly this. There's so many flies. Touch and go landing there.
This is Control E. That actually might be a good idea.
Extremist, you watched the launch from your backyard. Seems pretty amazing that it's been like, what, 53 years, I think they said, since we last sent astronauts to the moon.
Yeah.
And now we're finally doing it again.
1972, I think.
Yeah, that's right. The Apollo 17 mission. I've seen a lot of people. Okay, that's good. And I'm gonna pick up as you say because this is right on. I've seen a lot of people online comparing the Artemis 2 mission to the Apollo 8 mission in the sense that sending an astronaut to the moon, just fly around the moon do see why people make that, in the sense that it is the mission objective is to fly around the moon without landing on it. But Apollo 8, in certain ways, was actually more ambitious than Artemis 2, in that they actually entered orbit and did 8 laps around the moon. Sucks as Houston, we have a toilet. Yeah, so if you've been watching the NASA channel and listening to all the one of the issues they've been having is a lot of time spacecraft. Which, you know, no matter how aware you know, it's always a very high-tech piece of equipment and it's obviously essential to human life in space. We need to waste money. But it is kind of funny that of all the things that would break the spacecraft,
actually an airplane that is involved in the Orion NASA. That one is modified E3 Orion. That is the Dreamlifter Beluga, where NASA cargo
K31V says, I can't seem to see anyone. Yeah, so type !fly in the chat. That'll give you all the instructions you need. You need to make sure you're on the right server, which is Southeast Asia. You also need to make sure you have all players mode enabled. And I don't know if you're on console, but if you're playing on Xbox, you also need an Xbox Game Pass subscription. And yeah, I think that's also true for PlayStation Network or PS5 server. And yes, that's correct. PS5 does not have crossplay with Xbox and PC, but you will be able to see it on PlayStation or just on Xbox and PC. The Ederin has got a NASA You're in the hot seat today.
Ooh, okay.
So I hope you have chat open next. Okay, chat, where are you from? I'm from Vancouver, Canada.
All right. Here we go. Brazil, Calgary. taught F5 once while doing my place tag. I looked at video on YouTube, and it's rare, very difficult. It wasn't just a two-seater F5 that I taught. Everyone in the comments, this is a T38, this is a T38. And I was like, okay, tell me what a T38 had different. And then also, how a T38 has really funny to go. No, this is a T38.
That looks like a big 28. Yeah, no one's been this close before.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I've got Jester in sight by 12 o'clock. Right on cue with the Top Gun references. We have got MSFS official in the chat asking how the flight was going. I am broadcasting on MSFS. Somebody get that my coworker Jane in the chat. Jane, we are doing great. We were currently en route to Tallahassee for touch and go. Part of Atlanta. Got a great turnout behind me today. Nick is flying the SR-71 Blackbird for the very first time.
This thing is a beast. Already had 2 engine flameouts. It's already proven to be a beast.
And we're having a great time chatting about the Artemis 2 mission, which I know a lot of you in the chat are very excited about, myself included. As I have said, I've had the NASA YouTube channel live stream on non-stop for about the last 48 hours, about 4 hours before the launch on Wednesday. I started watching that and have not turned it off since, not even when I was sleeping. I've left it on the entire time.
Here's another thing I will be curious to know. In chat, type 1 if you have actually witnessed the launch, or been in person and witnessed the launch.
I've come close. When I was a kid, when I was 10 years old, we went on a family trip. We drove down to Florida, went to Disney World and all that. We also went to Kennedy Space Center. And there was a launch scheduled for that week, a shuttle launch scheduled for that week, and it got canceled because of weather conditions. So I came close to seeing a launch live, but did not actually see it.
The closest I've seen is Roanoke Bay in their Vancouver Air Force Base in SoCal that does SpaceX launches and I think some other launches. But you can just about see the plane as it launches up. That's about about 3 miles away. But I did see a re-entry date. And last time in San Diego, they go right down the coast of California. And at night, it is the brightest shooting star you've ever seen. Clear as day to see it. It is the coolest thing I've done. So whizzing past, all of fire hits the entering atmosphere.
James writes, I absolutely love the videos of people who are on planes getting an amazing view of the Artemis 2 launch. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those on social media the last few days. Can't wait to play on PSVR 2%, Crazy Steve. Yeah, that is coming, at least tentatively scheduled for later this month, April 2026, along with Sim Update 5. We are targeting to release in April. So less than 4 weeks away now. Of course, that's not locked in. This is not a promise that 100% for sure Sim Update 5 will release in April, but that at least is currently our target is to get it out this month. And included in Sim Update 5 will be the long-awaited PlayStation VR support. So just a little bit more patience. That's coming very soon.
I'm glad to see the PS still getting, like, it's clearly done well enough that they're putting PSVR into it.
Cityflow is asking, Artemis is Apollo's cousin. So in Greek mythology, I'm assuming that's what you were referring to. Artemis and Apollo are brother and sister. And so, of course, it makes sense then that the new moon program would be named Artemis, since it is closely related to Apollo.
I know that.
Now, Artemis is the Greek goddess of the hunt. So so you'll often see her in art and so on, where she's depicted. She'll be shown carrying a bow and arrow. Murder Fish is already on Ace of Thunder PSVR 2. I can only imagine how awesome Microsoft Flight Sim PSVR 2 is going to be like. Well, I got to try it hands-on 2 weeks ago at FS Weekend. We had 2 PlayStation 5 Pro consoles with VR headsets running the latest test version, the internal build that has PSVR support. And if you happen to be at FS Weekend in the Netherlands 2 weeks ago, Nick, I know you were there. Did you get any?
Yes.
Did you get a chance to try out PSVR 2 while you were there?
I did not. I honestly had a much shorter time than I would have liked to have, but it was a great event. By the way, CD, he's a lot taller than he seems.
Yeah, I'm 6'4" or 1.93 meters for those of you who use the metric system. I know it doesn't come across that way because I'm sitting down on the live stream, but yes, and if you ever see me in real life, I am quite tall.
The Endeavor flew over your house in Sausalito. Is that when it was on the 747 doing its flight down to LA? Because I was supposed to go see that. I was, I think, yeah, 7th grade. I kind of knew it was happening. I wasn't, online and knowing of all the interesting things that were happening in aviation quite yet. But I kind of knew it was going by. And then my dad, after school that day, he was like, yeah, I thought about taking you, but then I decided against it. I was like, what? Why didn't you take me?
By the way, I see a comment from Surly Dev, who was also at FS Weekend. Surly Dev, I remember you being particularly proud. You set not a high score, but a low score in one of the landing challenges, and you were very proud of your low score. Yeah, 8 points. Believe it or not, Surly Dev, you did not have the all-time low score for the weekend. Look at this. Here's the photo I took. Someone else after you, and there's Jade, by the way, right here. Someone after you, Surly Dev, got 2 points at the same landing challenge. Your low score was beaten.
I kind of think it's more impressive to get such a low score than such a high score.
Was it Jane that got 2 points? It was not Jane, no. It was someone from the public, a regular player like any of you. All right, I've got the Tallahassee Airport inside, so we'll line up from there. Start accelerating.
I had a friend who also, they had an internal company that they're with the naming challenge, and they also died. They got a low point. I had to joke with them, like, is the airplane airborne still after that?
Yeah, I mean, as the famous expression goes, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. Any landing you can walk away from and use the airplane again the next day is a great landing. I had to deal with if Broadway, Oregon was alive long enough to see flights to the moon, he would have accidentally filed a flight plan and then gone to the moon instead. All right, there is the site of Tallahassee. This is my 11 o'clock position. We call this a long left base. Turn on the flash here in a moment. Starting to decelerate. There's that KO for a helicopter drone pad on Mars. There is indeed. That's one of my favorite bits of aviation trivia. There is actually an airport code on Mars.
That were the Perseverance helicopter landed?
Whichever one has the drone rover,
Yeah.
or the rover that is able to launch the flying drone.
It's not curiosity. It's kind of
You have Flight Sim 2020. Can you join? Yes, you absolutely can join. Both Nick and I are using Flight Sim 2024, but we do have a contingent of players who are on Flight Sim 2020 joining us today, and absolutely multiplayer environments. So 2024 players can see other 2024 players, 2020 players can see other 2020 players, but not cross-play, cross-platform. All right, putting my gear down as I turn on the final. Gear down and locked.
I don't even see the airport.
You may have already overflown it because you're going so fast in the SR-71.
I got you in front of me, so
Okay, no, then
hopefully.
well, I'm turning on the final now.
All right. I will follow your airplane in.
I will probably embarrass myself with this landing. Just hate the jet wash of that F-18 there. Yeah. Oh, we got an angle of attack indicator in this plane. Shows you how little experience I've got flying this. That's that instrument right there sitting on top of my instrument panel. Telling me to nose up. I can't see the runway when I do that unless I use my OBI tracker here.
Has a long nose, the airplane.
Yeah.
All right, let's go fast. What's the gear limit on this or something?
There we go. So you want that green circle in the angle of attack indicator. That's telling me that I'm on the right glide slope.
Oh, this is fun. The SR-71 has a nice pillar right in the middle.
Move your head around to look around it.
I was because I did the Red Bull challenge at FS Weekend, and it had the eye tracker. I actually was surprised how much it threw me off the eye tracker.
Yeah, it does take a bit of getting used to it. I can't fly without it now. I love my Tobii Eye Tracker 5. But yeah, if you've never used it before, it might not be something that you find immediately intuitive. But once you fly with it for like probably less than an hour, it becomes second nature. All right, let's try not to embarrass myself. Player nameplates off so I can see the runway. Oh, I'm coming in high and fast. Oh, not good.
Yeah, this thing is fast too.
Thankfully, we're only doing a touch and go.
Right behind.
Okay, and rotate, positive rate, gear up, and we'll watch big takeoff.
Gears down.
Yeah, pretty nice.
Punch it. Go to the next one.
Yep, en route down to Jacksonville. Oh, my trip got all out of whack when I was doing the landing. I was fighting back pressure on the stick. Now I got to trip once again for straight and level. that. But once when we were flying from Atlanta to Tallahassee, once I was able to get the trip locked in, get some more hours in this one.
Yeah.
Oh no, Olive crashed in Tallahassee. Well, F's in the chat. F's in the chat for Olive. Pay your respects.
I'm going to try and enable the autopilot. It's going to go horribly wrong. I can guarantee it. We're going to...
Are you consulting the manual?
I am consulting the read what the switches do.
Okay.
So that one and that one. That will okay. Going down. Let me fix that. Like pitch. Although you can't do that. Turning on its own. What is it doing?
Friday photography. My tea is ready already. Pleasure flying with you all. Jester 91 is returning to base. Well, Jester, it was our pleasure to have you joining us today. Hope to see you back on a future fly-in. Anyway, there goes Jester right there. My screen. That's all the laser aircraft flying behind me now. I'm gonna get back on course to Jacksonville.
I think it's probably the best country. Figure it out another time.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is also like what happened
Talk a little bit about the T-38. There's a long history with the T-38, going back almost to the very beginning of the manned space program. The original Mercury astronauts, those of you who may know this, so this could be some new information to you. Famously, they weren't really pilots on the spacecraft. They were all recruited from military test pilots from the Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps, and they all fancied themselves as very accomplished, proficient aviators. But as astronauts, they didn't do any flying of the spacecraft. The Mercury capsule was controlled almost entirely from the ground, from mission control. And famously, Chuck Yeager, when being asked questions by the media about the NASA astronauts, they were being portrayed as the best pilots in the world. And Yeager said they don't even fly the spacecraft. The monkey is making the first flight, which was true. There was chimpanzees were trained by NASA to be the first astronaut ice cream.
Oh yeah.
In fact, you know, again, like I said, I've been watching the NASA YouTube channel almost nonstop since the mission started 2 days ago. They did a media briefing yesterday, and one of the reporters talking to the astronauts in space asked them what they thought of the food that was on board. They talked about that a little bit. I find it really interesting how lay people, when they are interested in what's going on in the space program, it's always the most mundane things that sort of capture the public's attention. Like,
Yeah.
what do you eat in space? How do you go to the bathroom in space?
Yeah.
Jane says I still have some dehydrated ice cream from FS Expo in Houston.
Oh man. Does that ever expire, that stuff? Or because it's dehydrated, does it not expire?
Well, I mean, it's engineered by, like, there's actually a lot of high-tech research that goes into creating food for astronauts, and they're engineered to be shelf-stable, so presumably they don't expire.
I remember dehydrated ice cream from my field trips. I think I just flipped over. Okay, the airplane does not like to go inverted. Noted.
But I mean, Chad, not strictly related to the space program, but on the topic of space, I'm going to see Predator. I'm not gonna talk about it, I'm not gonna spoil it. The less you know about it, the better. Don't even watch the trailer. In my opinion, the trailer gives away way too much. And the less you know about this movie, the better. Just know it's a space-related movie. It features Ryan Gosling as a space voyager. And that's kind of all you need to know. Don't spoil yourself more than that. Don't read a plot synopsis. Don't watch the trailer. Just know that it's getting really, really good reviews, and it's an excellent movie about space, and you should go see it. I had a great time in the theater watching that. I'd also read the book as well before, so really nothing that happened was a surprise to me, but the friend who I went to see it with, she went in completely blind. She knew nothing about it. Just that the space-related movie was all she knew, and she was somehow had been completely unspoiled for it.
I know
I'm very mad at the trailers for spoiling the film. Yeah, the trailers, I think, gave away way too much.
I know I've seen the trailer, but I can't like process what was in that trailer, what it's about. All I know is just popped into my head, actually, which is that story. And have you heard the other one about the Sacramento Tower?
I don't know if I've heard that one.
So, I'll paraphrase. Is that there was an Msfs crew that took one of the airplanes down to an air show in Southern California from Beale Air Force Base, and they were then flying it back from the air show on the Sunday. Beale, on the way to Sacramento, the protest in Sacramento. Go down.
It had been difficult, too, for me to relinquish control of the radios, as during my entire flying career I had controlled We listened as the shaky voice of a lone Cessna pilot backs up the center replied. I think I understand about center control. So whether they were talking to a 20 pilot in Cessna or the Air Force pilot, they can always tell the part of the Cessna and name one kid. I refer to it as the Houston Center. I've always known that they use the sea traffic and radio space ground to listen to the distinct voice of the Houston. And all other reports stay on the Cessna. And then they basically look. And as an aside, it's also been used for the purpose of all aircraft controllers to determine acoustic performance. All pilots will listen to one kid. And it didn't matter what type of aircraft controllers flying in, I always knew what to see on my radar. Over the years, that's what I did. Oh, even then, conversely, over the years, pilots always wanted to ensure that when transmitting, they sounded like Chuck Yeager. Just like that. Or at least like John Wayne. Better to die than sound bad on the radio. Just moments after that Cessna's inquiry, a Twin Beach piped up on frequency in a rather superior tone, asking for his ground speed. I have you at 125 knots on ground speed. Boy, I thought that beach crowd really must think he is dazzling his Cessna brethren. Then, out of the blue, a Navy F-18 pilot out of NAS Lemoore came up on frequency. You knew right away it was a Navy jock because he sounded very cool on the radios. Center Destin 75 new ground speed check. Before Cessna Center could reply, I'm thinking to myself, hey, SB-52 has a ground speed indicator in that $1 million cockpit. So why is he asking Center for a reading? Then I got it. Old Dusty here is making sure that every bug smasher from Mount Whitney to Noah Mojave knows what true speed is. He's the fastest dude in the Valley today, and he just wants everyone to know how much fun he's having in his new Hornet. And the reply always with that same calm voice, with four distinct alliterations of it. Dusty to the new center, we have you at 620 knots of cruise. And I thought to myself, is this a right situation or what? As my hand instinctively reached for the mic button, I had to remind myself that Walt was looking for radios. Still, I thought, it must be done. In mere seconds, we'll be out of the sector and the opportunity will be lost. That Hornet must die and he must die now. I thought about all of our sim training and how important it was that we developed well as a crew and knew that to jump on the radios now would destroy the integrity of all that we had worked on. I was somewhere 13 miles above Arizona, there was a pilot screaming inside his space helmet. Then I heard it. The click of the mic button from the back seat. That was the very moment that I knew Walter and I had become a crew. Very professionally and with no emotion, Walter spoke. Los Angeles Center, Aspen 20. Can you give us a ground speed check? There was no hesitation, and the reply came as if it was an everyday request. Aspen 20, I show you with 1,842 knots across the ground. I think it was the 42 knots that I liked the best. So accurate and proud was Center with the information without hesitation. And you just knew he was smiling. But the precise point at which I knew that Walt and I were going to be really good friends for a long time was when he keyed the mic once again to say in his most fighter pilot-like voice, Center, much thanks. We're showing both at 1,900 on the money. For a moment, Walter was a god, and we finally heard a little crack in the armor of the Houston Center voice when LA came back with, Roger that, Aspen. Your equipment is probably more accurate than ours. You boys have a good one. It had all lasted for just moments, but in that short, memorable sprint across the Southwest, the Navy had been flamed. All mortal airplanes on frequency were forced to bow before the king of speed, and more importantly, Walter and I had crossed the threshold of the industry room. A fine day's work. We never heard another transmission on that frequency all the way across the coast. For just one day, it was really fun being the fastest guys out there. And that is the LA speed check story. That is one of my all-time favorite aviation stories ever written. I'm just going to focus. We are passing Jacksonville now, so we're going to focus on the landing here.
say, I think a lot of us were swinging a little south there.
Yeah, I was reading the story. I wasn't really paying attention to where I was going. So I was gonna come back up north to the Jacksonville airport for the touch and go.
It's interesting to hear the written story, how it differs from the video story.
Yeah.
Because that video story has been out for a while, and oh, you got to meet him. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was Brian Schul who wrote the SR-71 ground speed check story, and I was very lucky and fortunate. I got to meet Brian in person at the Reno Air Races back in 2021. So there is my selfie with me and Brian. I think Jane actually took that photo. Jane, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but maybe you might remember taking that photo when we were in Reno back in 2021. Brian has since passed. He died just a few years ago, but I consider myself very lucky and fortunate that I was able to meet him back when he was still living, and I got to share some fun anecdotes with him. All right, should have the field in sight pretty soon. I think it's actually, I think it's obscured by that cloud ahead of me. Let me know when you're on short final, Nick.
I'm turning final right now. I'm about to drop the gear.
Okay, we'll go over to your POV then. XTLV 74 says he was part of the team for the making of the Blackbird Sim SR-71. So the actual aircraft, the add-on that Nick is flying, apparently
Awesome.
Brian was a consultant on that. All right, I got the runway in sight now.
Yeah, I got the runway here. I'm gonna fill the nameplates for a second. This is when your view is centered and you don't have two eyes to see on either side of the thing, you don't really see the runway. So I'm gonna position my view a little to the side here.
There was this old movie Firefox. Yeah, with Clint Eastwood was in that, wasn't he?
I almost instinctively moved my head where the view was. I'm immersed right now. That's saying something. Okay, let's see. How does landing this thing in the cockpit go?
Now, remind me, did the real SR-71 deploy parachutes to slow down on landing?
Yes, it has a chute, which I will try and do on the last landing.
Yeah, you have to deploy it on a touch and go.
Yeah, there we go. That's a touchdown and up. All right, fly by camera.
All right, I'm turning final now. Gears down and locked. There's the runway.
I'm just for the fun of it, I'm gonna go up and see if I can hit max altitude, 60,000 feet. Oh, there's the fuel gauge. That's good to find. I hope it's all automatic in this. That's one thing I don't know.
I wonder how much of the SR-71 systems are still classified.
That's a good question.
It's retired from active service and has been, I want to say, since the 90s. But I imagine there's still so much technology in it that even to this day, it's probably still classified.
Yeah, probably. This thing climbs like a rocket. I'm at 20,000 feet in about 2 minutes. Only the alien tech is still classified. Who here believes in aliens?
I mean, I believe in aliens. I don't believe UFOs have visited planet Earth. But I do believe somewhere out there in the universe there's other intelligent life. All right, there we go. Touchdown, full throttle, a takeoff, a rotate. Positive rating, you're up.
Have you seen the movie Contact?
I have seen the movie Contact. That's one of my favorite movies, in fact.
Can't tell. I think I lost my airspeed indicator, or it's frozen.
Do you have pitot heat, maybe? You climbed up too high?
This one is like showing Mach, and it used to work, but now it's not. The other one is still working, I think, at least. It doesn't seem like it wants to climb, though.
All right, chat. Next stop is Disney World. You know, I'm gonna fly at like treetop height on the way to Disney World.
Click my SAS. All right, you're gonna need to be a little helpful in where's the SAS. And I hope you don't mean Scandinavian Airlines. Pull the surface limiter handle. Okay. That is. This it? Canopy jettison. Yeah, we don't want that one. Right of your console of. Right console. The buttons next to the switches. Buttons next to the switches. Okay. Right console. Emergency. Battery. Well, let me make sure I'm not gonna crash here.
All right, I'm flying almost over downtown Jacksonville now. I'm gonna look for their NFL stadium. I imagine it's close to the downtown core. Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you have any fans in the chat?
Oh gosh. I need to.
I think this is probably the stadium over here.
Click the black button next to the flick up levers that do pitch. Okay. Pitch and roll one. Wait, which one?
Someone in chat, what's the name of Jacksonville's stadium? Because I've got an insight to my 12 o'clock. We're gonna do a flyby, like they just sung the national anthem, and the jet flyby after that. There it is. Looks pretty good in the sim. Oh, hang on. Do you see what I see here, chat?
There's a bridge.
There is a bridge. Got to get lined up for it, though.
Your kneecaps are black squares. Okay. Oh, these?
No, go back to your POV until I get lined up to fly underneath this bridge.
Press these 6. I don't think that's right, though. I pressed them, and it still got surface limiter warning. SR71, the surface limiter. I'm gonna go to Google that.
All right, I'm lining up to fly underneath this bridge. I have not tested if this is even underflyable. We'll find out in a moment. Full send. We're going full throttle here with afterburners.
Okay, I did the surface limiter. I got that.
Had it all along.
Hell yeah.
By the way, the T-38 can roll at a rate of 720 degrees per second. It's crazy how quickly this thing can roll.
I feel sorry for your neck.
All right, now next stop, Disney World. Had to do a diversion to fly underneath that bridge.
Is there like a scramjet option on this one? I'm kidding. No scramjet option. Doing Mach 8.2. Doesn't seem to want to climb above like 30,000. at least very fast. All right, I'll look at something later, a tutorial later maybe. Maybe it's just a slow climber at altitude. Oh yeah, I'm not exceeding 400. Click the right handle corner mirror on the triangle so you can hear Walt. Oh, okay. Oh,
They actually have
that brought
audio.
up a menu. That brought up a menu.
They actually have audio. If you can hear Brian Schul and Walt, his radio operator.
Hold on.
That's a cool feature.
Cox, aircraft config. Oh my gosh. Too fast. Decrease my KEAS.
What's KEAS? Something airspeed. I don't know
Yeah.
what KEAS stands for though. Oh, check this out. I've got another T-38 Corvette driver. Is flying adjacent to me now in a T-38. Love it. Speed corrected for compression effect at very high speed. Ah, okay.
So I gotta slow down? It feels like it wants to stall.
That would explain why I'm not familiar with that term. In the aircraft I fly in real life, that's never an issue. We don't fly that high of a speed or that high of an altitude.
Click on start engines. Huh. You can hear something. It's a little quiet.
Nelson, I'm flying the L-1011 and my hydraulics just blew after that downtown flyby. Uh-oh. But yeah, the I&I builds TriStar, which launched earlier this week on the marketplace, getting lots of positive chatter in the community. We've been monitoring that feedback very closely, and it seems like people really like that plane. Think Tri-Jets will ever come back? I think they're done for good.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
The only real Tri-Jets that are still being made is the Dassault Falcons, I think.
Those are like business jets too, right? Like not airliners? Yes. Yeah.
Although they did just come out with the 10X, which is only 2 engines compared to their 3 of their others airplanes.
Too much hassle for me. Yes, it's also less economical. So what happened? Why Tri-Jets became a thing and then disappeared is for 2 reasons. For transoceanic flights, the regulations said you used to be required to have more than 2 engines for redundancy and safety. But then engine technology got so much more reliable that they have what's called ETOPS now, which that stands for extended twin engine operations. And you can now fly transoceanic flights in a twin engine aircraft. So like a 777, an A350, 787, that kind of thing. And yeah, Tri-Jets, they're both more expensive on maintenance, but also more expensive on fuel costs than twin engine aircraft. And so if the regulations say you don't need 3 engines, it's much better for the airlines to be able to use twin engine aircraft instead.
You know the other saying for ETOPS, right?
What's that?
Engines turn, people swim.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, I kind of gave up on my high altitude. I'm gonna make a circle back to where you are.
Well, I am heading to Disney World right now, and then shortly after that, we'll be going to Kennedy Space Center for our full stop landing at the shuttle landing runway. Is that runway in use for anything anymore now that the shuttle program is over?
I think they still fly like the astronauts there. press conference? I think there's stuff that goes in and out every once in a while.
Did you miss the PlayStation VR release date? So the exact date has not been announced yet, but it is coming with Sim Update 5, and Sim Update 5 is currently targeted for final release sometime in April, so this month. So that's not 100% locked in. It is subject to change, but at least for now, PS5 VR support will be coming in less than 30 days. Love you guys, but we love you. And we're really excited to get PSVR support out in the hands of all our PlayStation users out there. Yeah, I personally got to have my own hands-on experience with PlayStation 5 VR at FS Weekend 2 weeks ago. I don't have a PS5 at home. I have a PC and an Xbox, but not a PS5. So I actually got to try hands-on for the first time Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 on a PlayStation 5 with VR, and yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna deceive you guys. It's a lot of fun.
Count that as flame out number 5.
Multiplayer model matching. Well, spoiler alert. I happen to know that in the next SU5 beta build, there are some improvements to multiplayer model matching included in that build. So stand by for that. If you are enrolled in the beta, you can test that out. Let us know. Give us your feedback. Let us know how well it's working.
F-18 doing some pretty good formation with me here.
Oh yeah, look at that. VR on PlayStation, a plug-and-play solution that yeah, I mean, that's the advantage of playing games on consoles, right? You don't have to worry about video drivers, you don't have to worry about customization, you don't have to tweak all your graphics settings. You just plug it in, turn it on, and you're good to go. It's a much more simple solution. You know, there's a joke amongst flight simmers. Nick, you've probably heard this one before. That for every hour you spend flying in this sim, you spend like 5 hours tweaking your settings and managing all your system updates and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. I personally, I don't have that. I'm the other way around. I spend like every 5 hours for every hour I'm like installing or updating something. So I think it's gotten a lot better how it used to be. Because back in the FSX P3D days, yeah, you're definitely tweaking a lot more than you are now.
Yeah. All of us other plans for bush trips. Yeah, so York talked about that in a developer live stream last year sometime. So we are working with Got Friends to redo all the bush trips for Flight Sim 2024. And if you know Got Friends as a developer, they're big into bush flying and gliding and things like that. So they're a great partner for us to work with on improving the bush trips. Don't have a release date on when that'll be, but stay tuned for a future sim update where we'll see all the great work that Got Friends is doing on those. Now, I'm not super knowledgeable about Florida geography. Is this the Everglades below us? Actually don't know like where in Florida the Everglades are. Someone in chat I'm sure knows. It's the St. Johns River. Okay. Everglades are further south. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that's the water.
I'm
going swimming. I'm swimming.
Oh, F's in the chat.
I just got too slow and I stalled.
Yeah.
All right, do it up. Okay. Well. Oh, good. Both engines flamed out. All right.
All right. F's in the chat for Nick.
All right. I'm gonna restart the engines in the water here, and then I will be back.
Look at
is
this.
Lake George we flew over.
Look at this swarm of aircraft behind me. Love to see it. All right, so we are making our way to Disney World. We're gonna fly over Magic Kingdom and Epcot Center. Who in the chat has been to Disney World before? We'll do the two-part question. Type 1 if you've been to Disney World in Florida. Type 2 if you've been to another Disney park, but not the one in Florida. And then type 3 if you've been to no Disney parks at all. I've only been to Florida Disney World. I've been to Magic Kingdom and Epcot Center before.
I visit one in general. I've never been. Okay, something's up with the airplane. Oh! Nope, never mind. I didn't have that.
It's expensive, says JP Flying Out. Yeah, there's memes going around that it's now cheaper if you don't live local to Disney World, like if you don't live in the Orlando area. It is actually cheaper to fly to Hong Kong or Shanghai or even Japan and go to one of those Disney parks than it is to fly to Florida to go to Disney World for like a 4-day trip. It's crazy. It shows the math too, like the airfare, the hotels, the park passes for a family of 4, for everything. But yeah, they've done the math, and it is actually now cheaper to fly to Asia and go to Disney World or Disneyland in Hong Kong, Shanghai, or Japan than it is to go to Florida Disney World. That's how much the parks have gone up in price. I really want to go to Galaxy's Edge. I've never been yet.
Oh man,
I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I want to check that out.
that's at the top of my list of things to visit because I've also never been. Something is up with the airplane. I think I do need to reload it.
Zabba says they're an Orlando local and theme park employee. We basically live there.
All right, I'm going to really quickly reload the airplane.
Okay. All right, chat, for those of you who have been to a Disney theme park, what's your favorite ride? I've never done it yet because again, I've never been to Galaxy's Edge, but I've heard Rise of the Resistance is like the best ride out of any Disney theme park. Firehuge says Expedition Everest, the Animal Kingdom. Soul Skyline says Cars and Rise. Test Track. Yeah, I did Test Track at Epcot Center last time I was there. That one's fun.
Isn't it not called Test Track anymore?
Well, I don't know. I was there in 2014, so very well. It might have changed names since then. Space Mountain, that's a good one. I like that. That's a classic. We'll actually fly over Space Mountain. We fly over the Magic Kingdom. We'll see it in the sim. Soarin' is pretty good. Yeah, I like Soarin' a lot too. Phoenix says Hong Kong Haunted Mansion. Good diversity of answers here. Journey to the Center of the Disney Sea. That's in Tokyo. Now, does anyone know about like the secret Disney members only club that there's like a 30-year waiting list or something to get admission to this? Zeba says, how about everyone's favorite Universal attraction? So when I was at Universal Studios, I liked Back to the Future a lot. I thought that was a really good ride. And of course, the Jaws ride is a classic. Zeba says, yeah, Club 33. There's a massive wait list, and I think it's a $20,000 or so buy-in. Yeah, and it's really secretive, too. apparently you have to sign like an NDA that you're not supposed to reveal like what it's like inside Club 33.
Huh.
Oh no, CD listing all the closed rides at Universal as his favorite. Well, again, it's been many, many years since I was at Universal Studios. I have no idea what's even open at Universal anymore. But when I was there as a teenager, that's how long ago this was. It was Jaws and Back to the Future were my two favorites. All right, we are coming up now for a flyby of Magic Kingdom here in a moment. Phoenix, you've been into Club 33. There is some cool merchandise you can get. Wow. Are you allowed to talk about it though? That's the real question.
Don't want you breaking any NDAs.
Yeah. I wonder if I could do like a low-speed flyby right down Main Street, USA, at Magic Kingdom.
That'd be fun.
I've got to spot it first, though. I know the waypoint is somewhere up ahead to my 12 o'clock, but I don't have the theme park in sight yet.
I am not having any luck with this airplane. I'm going to switch airplanes.
Yeah, why don't you just spawn at Orlando Airport, since we're right around there anyways.
I'll bring out the old F-18. Orlando. There's Orlando.
All right, so somewhere up ahead here should be the Magic Kingdom, but I do not have it in sight.
You had a B-52 in the NASA scheme? Oh, that would be great.
Is this it? Is this it over here? This looks vaguely theme park-like. Maybe. I don't see like the Cinderella Castle or anything though. No, that's not it. The big parking lot though. That might be a theme park. Ternosa says, "Look for my name." Are you at Magic Kingdom now, Ternosa? Okay, yeah, you're there. JB Flying High says it's a pain to find. I know I've flown over it in the sim before. All right, at least according to my waypoint, it should be somewhere right around here.
All right, I'm back in the air again, finally.
Oh, this might be it. Directly below me here. This looks like a theme park. Oh yeah, there's Space Mountain. This building right here, that's Space Mountain. There's Main Street USA. There's the Cinderella Castle. Yeah, here we go. Here's Magic Kingdom. All right, I'm gonna swing around and we'll do a high-speed fly it past over Main Street USA. We got Terra Builders in the chat. Well, welcome to Terra Builder. We're excited after we fly over Disney World here. We're gonna make our way to Kennedy Space Center, where I've got your add-on installed, and we'll maybe even do a space launch system launch. All right, time to do a high-speed fly past over Disney World.
I think I flew over it. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. There it is right here. There's the famous castle. All right, now we'll make our way to Epcot Center.
Oh, that was Epcot that I found. Disney for me. Oh, there's Space Mountain. Okay. There's this building next to Disney that kind of looks like the Monsters Inc. building. It's so funny to look at these parks from above because when you're on the ground, you're so immersed.
Yeah, and
Disney's
there's a lot.
Very careful.
There's a lot that you, by design, you cannot see from ground level. All right, I've got Epcot Center inside. I got the lake. You can walk around and go to all the international pavilions. There's the big parking lot. So here's Epcot Center here. And then that big geodesic dome, the big golf ball looking building in the middle, that's called Spaceship Earth. It's a pretty cool ride. It's a classic. But yeah, here's Epcot Center. And then all the like international pavilions are all around this lake. And apparently, I've never done this, but apparently it's quite a popular thing to do for adults to have a drink at each different country.
That sounds about something right that
As they
adults would do.
As they go to Epcot Center.
Yeah.
Popular and expensive, says Zadma. Yeah, I would believe it. All right, well, we're now in the Orlando area. We're going to make our way to Kennedy Space Center for our final full stop landing, and then we'll get the drone camera out and we'll do a tour of the Terra Builder scenery add-on for that. Again, available in the marketplace and on sale right now. So check that out. We'll go over to Nick's POV for a sec now that he's flying an F-18. Fire Huge says, drink around the world. It's expensive, but not bad. So how? It's been a while since I've been to Epcot Center. How many countries are there? Like 8, 10? Anyone know the exact number of countries in the international showcase at Epcot?
What the heck, airplane? Okay.
Oh, you just lawn darted. F's in the chat once again.
I have no control over the airplane. Something is not fun with my sim today.
Zabba says there are 11 country exhibits that are permanent at Epcot Center. So 11 drinks around the world. That's a lot of drinking for one day. Plus, you're paying Disney prices for what is like $20 probably each per drink. That's like over $200 per person to drink around the world, not counting your park admission on top of that and any food you drink. Here you eat. Skill issues, says Lipstick. Maybe. So Kennedy Space Center, I was last there in 2014. Went to the visitor center, and my favorite thing, I thought this was so funny. The public cafeteria at Kennedy Space Center in the visitor center, the visitor complex, they had a sign that says, "We are go for lunch." And awesome. I thought that was so funny. I love a good joke like that. All right, there's the Orlando airport below me. And we'll make our way to Cocoa Beach, where Kennedy Space Center is located. Tigermouse says the best of the Terra Builder scenery is the real rocket launches. Yeah, we'll actually do that. I'm going to land my plane and get the drone camera out. And we will do a space launch system launch in honor of the Artemis 2 mission, which took off 2 days ago and is currently en route, heading to the moon right now as we speak. In fact, I'll just pull it over. Here's the live NASA feed. Mission elapsed time 1 day, 19 hours, 18 minutes. Here's the live feed from Artemis 2 right now. And that's on just NASA's official YouTube channel. You can watch that. I've had this stream open nonstop for 2 days straight now.
That's awesome. Open up the panel for the controller and you can that for Apollo space shuttle era or Artemis? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to set mine to Artemis. And I'm going to set the spawn to be on the launch pad.
Vehicle assembly 39B. There we go. Is that 20 minutes or 20 seconds?
So one of the cool features of the Terra Builder add-on, so again, because I want to show the launch of the space launch system, I've set my rocket to spawn on the launch pad. But if you set it to the vertical assembly building, or the VAB, you can actually roll out on the crawler. You can roll the rocket out to the launch pad, and it's fully animated. I thought that was a really cool feature the first time I saw it. Flying Wellness says, I've been dropping into the Artemis stream. First thing I heard the other day when I was tuning was that the toilets were functioning. Yeah, I mean, we joked about this earlier, but that's a real issue that the astronauts are contending with right now. Their onboard toilet is not, well, I think they've got it fixed now, but initially it was not working correctly.
That is not a good situation to be.
Nick, Real Terra Builder in the chat is telling you to click on the Artemis to reset the counter.
Yeah, I got it. For Terra, I see it also kind of affects the lighting a little bit. All right, we got 39B, got high def, all the stuff. This is gonna be cool to watch. Actually, you know what? How about I'm gonna put Apollo on the pad, and if you want to have Artemis, and we can do a comparison.
All right.
From the first time we went to the moon, and then now how we're going to the moon.
Quick question, you're running the beta build? No, I'm running the latest release build, Sim Update 4, and whatever version of the Kennedy Space Center V2 add-on is available on the marketplace.
Artemis accelerates faster. I think, yeah, it has those 2 SRBs really make it go.
Yeah, the Space Launch System is the heaviest rocket that NASA has ever built. Even more thrust than the famous Saturn V.
I actually have the Lego Saturn V just over my shoulder.
Yeah, I have that. There's a Lego Space Launch System now as well.
There is.
Yeah, I don't have that one though. All right, I have the runway in sight. I'm going to start decelerating, get ready for a full stop landing, and then we'll explore Kennedy Space Center with the drone camera and see all the cool additions in the Terra Builder Kennedy Space Center V2 add-on. Okay, so Real Terra Builder says there's a bug on the Microsoft side, which is supposedly fixed in the beta build. Basically, the VFX smoke trail will cut out at 500 meters altitude.
Ah. Well, I don't think the sound's coming through the stream in the first place anyway, is it?
No. We have no game audio coming through on the Twitch broadcast.
I think I'm gonna go buzz the pad before we land, just because the launch pads are actually a little bit further away from the runway.
Whoa, look at this. I've got like a sailing ship below me. Check that out.
Yeah, I see the ship too, actually.
It's like a little sailboat there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing, if you've never been to Kennedy Space Center, the vehicle assembly building, it's one of the largest buildings in the world, but you wouldn't know it. So like there it is right there on my screen. You wouldn't know it because there's nothing around it for scale. So you can't really compare it to anything nearby. And so your eyes are very deceptive. It's hard to, apparently like the flag, the US flag that's painted on the side of it is the size of like a regulation NBA basketball court.
That's ridiculous. I'm passing by the VAB right now.
Yeah, there you go. And is that a Saturn V rolling out you have?
No, it's just actually just the crawler, right? Or a empty pad right there.
Okay.
The Saturn V is out on the pad. I can see it in the distance, so I'm gonna head over there.
Oh, that says just the blue part on the flag is the size of a basketball court, not even the entire flag. Yeah, you don't get a sense of scale by looking at it because there's nothing else around. Oh, there's the runway. Let me line up for landing.
Here's the Saturn V sitting on 35B.
Oh yeah, there you go. All right, I'm gonna cut over to my screen just to watch this landing. Gears down and locked. This is the NASA Kennedy Space Center shuttle landing facility. So during space shuttle missions, when they would glide back from orbit, this is where they would land the space shuttle. Well, one of the options they had. Sometimes they would land at Edwards Air Force Base in California, but this was the preferred landing site. They did land at Edwards. They would have to load the shuttle onto the back of a custom 747 and then fly it across the country from California over to Florida.
Had quite the performance hit, that airplane, I will tell you that. I don't know the exact details, but it was something like it was limited to 25,000 feet and a much slower speed. It was a long journey for it to fly across the country in net config.
Oh, look at this. They got the angle of attack indicator locked in. Pretty good landing, I should say.
And I'm on short final right behind.
Okay, cut over to your POV. All right, I'm just gonna pull off the runway, park here, and then we'll get the drone camera out and we'll explore the scenery here at Kennedy Space Center.
Right.
I've got my drone camera out. All right, exploring now. Here's the terminal building. We're at a GA aircraft here. I don't know if you could park your Cessna 172 or Cessna Grand Caravan at the shuttle landing. Yeah, here's the vehicle assembly building. And again, as Zadma said, just the blue part, when we get closer, you can see, just the blue part of the flag painted on the side of the building is the size of an NBA basketball court. So if you can imagine, it gives you a sense of how large this building is. We'll head out there in a moment, but let's explore some of the visitor center complex, the rocket garden, things like that first. If you do visit Kennedy Space Center, you have to take a bus from the visitor center to do like the full tour of all the facilities. You can see how far it is. This is the visitor center way over here.
Massive place.
Yeah. So they have a whole museum section dedicated to the Space Shuttle Atlantis. You can see here. There's its fuel tank and the two solid rocket boosters. Here's the rocket garden. So we've got, I don't think that's Saturn V. That might be a Saturn 4B on its side. And then various other rockets like the Redstone and Atlas and Titan and so on. Scale. And then inside one of these buildings, there's a full Saturn V on its side. You can see it. This monument here, this is the Space Memorial Mirror. And engraved here is every astronaut who has sadly perished in the line of duty. You can actually see it. Look at this in the scenery. You can see all the names. So we got Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee. Of course, Apollo 1, who died in the fire. We got Francis Dick Scobie, Michael J. Smith, Judith Resnick, Ellison Onizuka, Otto McNair, Chris McCullough, and Gregory Jarvis. That, of course, is the Challenger crew. And then above and to the right of them, we have Rick Husband, William C. McCool, David Brown, Michael Anderson, Kapana Chawla, Laurel Clark, Alan Malone, Columbia crew. And then, of course, some of these other names are just like one-offs from typically ground accidents or aircraft crashes and so on. Astronauts who died in the line of duty but not in the space flight. So, for example, Elliot C. and Charles Bassett, you see there, they actually died in a T-38 crash in the 1960s. Not during a space flight, but while they were visiting one of the, I think it was a McDonnell Douglas production facility where parts of the spacecraft were being manufactured. They crashed their T-38 in their crash. But yeah, that's the NASA Astronaut Space Memorial Mirror.
I got a size comparison ready here.
Oh, okay, let's take a look.
So I got the Apollo. This is the Saturn V on the launch pad. If I switch between it, we'll go to the space shuttle. Look how smaller it is. It's like half the size of the Saturn V. And then if I bring the Artemis in, it's about 90% of the way of a Saturn V. Pretty close.
Yep, but it has the two solid boosters on its side, so it gives it much more thrust and much more heavy lifting capability.
I'm so tempted to hit the start button and watch this thing launch.
All right, here we have the International Space Station, the mural of the International Space Station. Alright, now we'll head over to the launch pad. So again, if you were on the tour, you would ride a bus down this highway. And it's actually like a 20-minute bus ride to get here. Antio Max says the vehicle assembly building is 160 meters high and twice the width of a soccer field, 8-acre area, 129 million cubic feet volume. You know what amazes me about like the Apollo era program is not only where they put a man on the moon 8 years after JFK set that as the nation's goal, not just building the rockets, not just training the astronauts, all the support stuff they had to build. Like they had to build the vehicle assembly building. They had to build the crawlers that is used to transport the rockets out to the launch pad. Like even those alone are huge projects.
And what, the crawler goes at what, 0.6 of a mile an hour?
Something like that. It takes like what, 2 days or something to transport the rocket from the vehicle assembly building to the launch pad.
Yeah.
Terry Builder says Kennedy Space Center version 3 will have a complete vehicle assembly building interior with user controlled doors and you'll be able to fly through it.
That's gonna be, barnstorming.
Yeah, love it.
That was my alarm, sorry.
Yeah. All right, so this is pad, I think this is 39A. And then if we go over here, this will be pad 39B, which is where the launch 2 days ago took place from. And there you go, there's the Space Launch System, the Artemis 2 stack. On the pad, ready for takeoff.
Should I go first with the Apollo and then you can do the...
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to hit the countdown here. Oh, the arms are moving. The crew access arm retracts. And terminal count, 10 seconds. Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at all that smoke.
2, 1, and towers disconnect, and away it goes.
that's so cool. Again, this is the Kennedy Space Center V2 add-on from developer TerraBuilder, available in the InSim marketplace. And apparently, and there's a V3 on the way.
Look at that. That's so cool.
We cleared the tower. All right, you said it's a 20-second timer, not a 20-minute timer, right?
Yes, it's on a 20-second countdown.
All right, we're gonna launch the.
All right. So that was the first time we went to the moon, and here's how we're getting to the moon now.
Yeah, here's Artemis 2 about to take off. Yeah, there's the crew tower retracting, animated. Oh, there's the smoke. We have ignition.
The
main engine starts. Lift off. We have cleared the tower.
You should have asked Center for Ground Support.
If I put Artemis in the market, will I find it? Search for Kennedy Space Center in the market. That's how you find it. I can't even keep up with my drone camera.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and it disappeared for me now on my end. On at least my Saturn V.
All right, there it goes. Into low Earth orbit. And then from there, it'll begin its translunar injection maneuver and then head to the moon. All right, well, chat, this is going to bring us to the end. We're at time now for our Artemis 2 launch commemorative community fly-in Friday to Kennedy Space Center. Also hit a bit of Disney World in there as well, because of course we would. Of course, all of us here in the Flight Sim team wish Godspeed to the crew of Artemis 2 on their way to the moon. I've been watching this nonstop for the last 2 days. I'm sure a lot of you have as well.
I'm watching the space shuttle just for fun right now.
Yeah. Hope everyone had a great time. Nick, any final thoughts from you before we sign off? And also, let me put a link to your YouTube channel in here as well.
This has been fun. I mean, I'm such a huge space fan, and seeing this in the sim is like, I wish I was alive at the time of the space shuttle, and I hope I can make it out to watching Artemis SLS launch, because I can only imagine the sound of these SRBs as they go up.
Right?
Yeah. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. It's great to finally meet CD in person. I know I've known him for like 2 years, and I finally met him over at FS Weekend.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, Nick and I finally got to shake hands in real life for the first time. All right, here I am at the landing facility again. We got a spruce goose on the ground here. Love it. Maybe not the most practical choice for this airport. But folks, we are signing off here. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Peace and love to all of you. We will see you next week for Fly-In Friday, when we're going to the South Pacific to visit Fiji. Looking forward to that one. Take care, everyone. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh, wrong button.
Oh.
There we go. Bye.
Bye.